have a brand new Digitrax Zephyr Express 3 amp DCC starter set. I just got this in the mail the other day. These are brand new. Digitrax just released them at the end of the year. I'm going to do an unboxing, quick setup of the system, and a brief overview of some of the functions of this new DCC system. You're probably asking yourself, if you've watched my other videos, I already have a layout with a Digitrax Super Chief DCC system. Why did I purchase another DCC system? Well, the reason is pretty simple. What I'm going to do, my spring and summer project, is I'm going to make a very small portable layout, about a 3 foot long, about a foot and a half wide shelf layout. I've had a lot of requests for people to have me come and demonstrate some of my techniques. So our local hobby shop doesn't have a functioning layout there, so I thought this would be a great way to really show off the hobby, show off what a DCC system can do, give people an opportunity to see how to wire turnouts, simple DCC wiring, how a DCC command station works, and things like that. So that's the reason why I have this, and I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the video. So I have not had this open yet. What I'm going to do is just start to unpackage it here. I went with the Digitrax system just because of my prior knowledge with Digitrax DCC. I think they are, from what I've been told, really all DCC systems are pretty standard in what they can do. Some have just different functionalities. So here's what's in the package: our quick start guide, an LT1 LocoNet cable tester. I do have a video on my YouTube channel where I actually show how to make LocoNet cables and how this little portable device comes in very handy to ensure that the cables are assembled correctly. Here is the combined all-in-one command station and throttle. We'll get to that in a second. This is nice because it comes equipped with a power source. Set that aside. We have the manual, and we also have a mobile sound decoder manual as well. Let's go ahead and get the throttle out of the package. You know, if you're new to DCC, one of the things I'll just say is, if you're thinking about doing a DCC layout, these starter throttles are actually very economical from the standpoint that here you have a complete command station, 3 amps, which means you can run probably 2 or 3 sound locomotives at a time. Throttle, this particular one has the LocoNet capability, so you can attach other throttles if you need to. Here's the back. So this is a good economical way to get into a DCC layout without a tremendous amount of money. The Digitrax manufacturer suggested price on this is $235. I got this brand new off of eBay for less than $200 free shipping. So shop around. You can get a good DCC starter system for less than $200. One of the features of the new Zephyr Express is it has a 2.5-inch LCD screen. Before, it just had a monotone green LCD background. This is actually going to be providing a little bit more information than what was on the first version of the Zephyr. Setup in this is pretty easy. You can take a look at the quick start guide here. If you're new to DCC layouts and DCC wiring, essentially if you can run 2 feeders from your track, and what we're going to do is we're going to attach those feeders on the back here to this rail A and rail B function. I'm going to set up the power supply here in just a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and get the track set up first. Here's the power supply that comes with the Zephyr Express. So we'll go ahead, this is a quick insert into the back of the throttle. Here's your cord. I'm going to go ahead and get this hooked up, and we're going to take it for a test spin. Okay, I've moved into my sort of workbench area to just have a little bit more space to test this out. So you can see I've got a couple pieces of track here with feeders off of it. I'm going to hook both of them up. The longer piece over here, I'm going to run it to the rail A, rail B output. The smaller piece right here, I'm going to run to the programming track and give a quick demonstration on that. One other quick thing I'm going to do also is I have, this does not come included with the Digitrax Zephyr Express, but this is just a standard USB cable with a square port on it. Some people refer to this as a printer cable. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hook up my computer and just real briefly demonstrate what I love about this control station is it behaves as if it were a PR4. So you can hook it up and run JMRI or whatever programming you need, the Digitrax sound loader, etc. So I showed you this earlier. This piece actually comes off, and I'm going to take it off to get my wires hooked up. Just a quick connect. So rail A, rail B, program B, the ground, which we're not going to use program A. Here's my USB port. So I'm actually going to wire up the feeders to this, and then we'll plug it back in and get started. So this is how it plugs in. So here's rail A, rail B, program A, program B. So I'm going to flip this over just so I can have access to the screws. You need a fairly small flathead screwdriver to screw these in. Most people run their feeders as black-red. Honestly, it doesn't matter which color goes into which opening. If you're using red or black, doesn't matter. We just got to get both these hooked up here. There we go. Okay, I got those 4 wired up. So we'll go ahead and reconnect this back to the driver. Flip this over real quick. I know I got track flying all over the place. So you can hear my outputs: rail A, rail B, program A. I got my track hooked up. Next thing I'm going to do, and again, this is completely optional, I'm going to plug this into the back to have access to the computer. I'm going to go ahead and plug this into one of the USB drives on my laptop here. Notice when I plug it in, even though I don't have power hooked up yet to the Zephyr, it actually is running it off of the power from the computer. Okay, so now I'm going to actually go ahead and plug in the wall power unit here. And we are good to go here. So let's take a quick look at the control panel here. You can see right up here at the top, here's your nice LCD control screen. I really like this. We have all of our soft buttons over here. Here's your loco key. Here's track power on, emergency stop. We have some soft keys down here that gets into the menu and some of the other options. Just a numeric keypad to enter functions and things like that. Here's your throttle. Here is your brake handle. So let's go ahead and get started here and do a little test run. So real quick before we do the test, I just want to run through a couple things here. So there's several different lines on this throttle. Here is your connections up top here. This line here are your functions. They're sort of grayed out. Local throttle active. So here's the address that's active. Here's the direction of your locomotive. Speed is 0. We have some soft keys down here. This gets you into the extended functions. Since there's only 9, or technically 10, 0 through 9 numbers on the keypad, to get to 10 through 19 and 20 through 29, you have to toggle through that. Very nice setup here. I really like the LCD display. So in my test track here, I have a Intermountain GP10 low sound full throttle decoder. This is currently at the factory default setting, so it's going to be throttle address of 3. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and apply track power. So to do that, here is your track power key. When you do that, notice your track status light lights up. Okay, so let's go ahead and select address number 3, so let's hit the loco key, 03, loco again. Now you can see this is active. Track power's on. The loc sound decoders, what we have to do is hit F8 to initiate the startup sequence. Let's run through some of the functions real quick. F0 is the headlight. When I hit this, you see it comes on. It is directional. So here's a forward direction. Let's go ahead and move it to a backwards projection. Let's give you a quick look there to make sure it works. Let's put it back to the forward projection here. F1 is the bell. F2 is the horn. F3 in this unit is the gyro light. F4 the marker lights. F5 the number boards. F6 is unassigned. F7 is unassigned. F8 is the startup shutdown and mute. F9 is drive. I'm going to give it just a little bit of throttle here. There we go. Get it muted a little bit. Back it up. So one of the things you'll notice when I give it throttle, there's a delay in the locomotive actually moving. This is due to in part of the decoder in this throttle. It's not indicative of the actual Digitrax throttle. It has everything to do with the throttle and the CV value for number 3. Let's go ahead and kill some of these functions. Again, we can get up here into the 10 through 19 functions, hit that again, 20 through 28, hit it again, you're back to 0 to 9. So now you just have to pretend when you're in the FN plus 10 that there's just a 1 in front of each number. So this is 10, 11, 12, 13, etc. You can toggle through whatever the functions are that you need. So I've gone ahead and put the locomotive on the programming track. I just want to go ahead and quickly demonstrate that the programming track actually works. It's pretty simple to program on the Zephyr Express. We're going to go ahead and enter the programming menu. So we'll hit the menu button on the keypad. Brings up all of these choices. We're going to go ahead and click on the quick decoder setup. So that's going to be number 1. Okay, so now that we're in menu number 1, I want to program this to the locomotive's road number, which is 8120, which is a long address. So we need 84, the long address highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead, that is menu option number 2. So I'm going to hit 2 on the keypad. It brings us into this menu here. We have these 3 soft keys down below. We want to click on the data to be able to enter data. So now you can see that that just highlighted. So we're going to enter 8120 for the road name. You can see right there that is entered into the locomotive or into the command station to write. We'll go ahead and press this right key. So there you go. CV task complete is giving us in our message bar. So now that I'm done with that, let's go ahead and exit out of the menu by pressing the X key. And now we're back at the beginning, or the main menu. Okay, so I have the locomotive back out onto the track, the mainline track. And what I'm going to do now is let's just go ahead and test to make sure that it accepted 8120. So track power on. So I still have loco address of 3. So let's hit the loco key. And we're going to go 8120 loco key again. That is now selected. Track power is on, so if I hit F8 it should initiate the startup sequence. Okay, lesson learned. If you notice real quick right up here, I'm still in the function +10, so I need to throttle that back down to function 0. There we go, there's F8, here's our startup sequence. So obviously you can tell this worked. Put it in forward here. I'm just going to give it a little bit of throttle so I can mute it. Okay, there we go. So obviously you can tell that this worked. I'll just run through a couple of the other functions. Headlights on, bell works, horn works. So you can tell that this very easy to do some programming. You have the programming track set up, hook up into the locomotive. Again, I have my computer set up here to run with JMRI. So I'm going to give you a little bit of tutorial on that real quick, or to demonstrate that real quick, and that will wrap this video up. Okay, after a little bit of messing around, actually quite a bit of messing around, I wasn't able to get the JMRI Decoder Pro to directly communicate with the Zephyr Express. I'm going through a startup sequence right now here. I think what the issue is, and hopefully the people at JMRI address this, when you go into the preferences setup on JMRI, it gives you the type of connection that you need to make. And unfortunately, this is a DCS52 command station and a Zephyr Express. Those aren't choices yet within the JMRI software. Plus, this is equivalent to a PR4, and that's not a choice within the setup preferences either. So I can't get it. They're communicating and it's reading the LocoNet message, but I can't get it to program. So hopefully, you know, obviously the Zephyr Express is a brand new command station, so hopefully JMRI will come up with an update here that will allow good communication back and forth between the two systems. One other quick thing I wanted to demonstrate real quick. Here you can see I have my DT402 hand throttle. This is the primary throttle that I use with my Super Chief. So there are two LocoNet ports in the back, so I'm just going to go ahead and take and plug this in. This is what I really like about the Digitrax system. You can use this as a command station and throttle, but obviously you can only run one locomotive at a time. So with the ability to select the to use the LocoNet to have another throttle set up here, we can use the DT402 as an additional throttle. So, and just to demonstrate that real quick, let's go ahead and turn the track power on. So you can see, there we go, track power lights up. Have 8120 programmed as the active locomotive. Just to sort of test that out real quick without going through the whole sequence, I'm going to hit F1. Bell, horn. So again, this is another just awesome feature of Digitrax locomotives, as they allow you to utilize their products. So even though this is considered to be a starter set, it's fully expandable and you can use it with, you know, their other products. So I know this was a real quick test of the Digitrax Zephyr Express, but my initial impressions are this is just a fantastic starter DCC kit or DCC system. Very easy to run locomotives, expandable with additional throttles, USB port to hook up to a computer, programming capabilities. This is everything you need in a DCC starter set. I think one of the things, you know, as you're in the market for a DCC system, this is only a 3 amp version, so it's going to limit the amount of locomotives you can run, especially sound locomotives. My Digitrax Super Chief, it's a 5 amp system, and I'm able to run 3 to 4 locomotives without any issues whatsoever. For what I need this for, we're going to be able to easily manage my small shelf layout with this particular system. And just real quick, one of the things, again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, I'm going to mention it again. I wanted to get this to really the first step in creating a small portable shelf layout that I can take to local hobby shops, train shows, really show off the capabilities of what a solid DCC system can do. I plan on getting 2 to 3 turnouts on my layout, wiring them up with Tortoise switch machines, getting a DS64 so you can program turnouts through LocoNet with this particular DCC system. I'm going to be able to hook up my proto throttle to this with the LNWI that Digitrax has. So I have some pretty big plans. It's going to be my summer project. I think the plan is to start working on the bench, or the box for the portable layout sometime March or April, wiring it sometime probably in May, finishing it up June, July. So that's sort of my plan right now. I needed to get this to start with so I could get the exact measurements where all the ports and hookups were on the back of the locomotive, so that way when we're designing the bench we know exactly where to put the holes within the bench work to make sure that we can get a solid hookup. That was a mouthful. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about this system, please make a comment and I'll be more than happy to answer whatever I can. Have a great night.